Hello and thanks for joining us on your channel of choice, Africa Independent Television AIT, and welcome to the Signature Show. My name is Nwabueze Njoku. President Muhammadu Buhari says Nigerians should pray for their nation over the nation's security challenge. Federal Capital Territory Area Council elections. Why are there so many litigations over selection of party candidates? I think it's a question that needs to be addressed. The 80-man Soludo Transition Committee is a new thing about to happen to political leadership in Nigeria. Well, plus our special report, our special interview, and thank you. That's our lineup for this Sunday. Just stay with us for this feast of issues. When the issues matter and the need to know matters.
The chief of staff of Nigeria couldn't go to his village because it was being occupied by Boko Haram.
Politicians and political parties have massively used money to buy votes and to change the course of electoral direction.
You will also remember the very APC itself set up a Rufai committee recommending restructuring doesn't mean anything. Go back to federalism.
Or the fun and the fair to relieve everyday care.
Life is a riddle, my son. The land bled when Uvoranwen was put in shackles. Heaven wept when Saruwiwa was laid to rest.
Everything comes with the Judge Too Funny. Everything comes with who I am.
The Signature Show, your show that matters, on AIT every Sunday at 2 p.m. Now, last week, over 58 people were reportedly killed and scores of communities burned in Zamfara State in a fresh wave of strife, violence, banditry, and kidnapping. President Muhammadu Buhari has expressed outrage at this latest round of killings. He has also asked the citizens to pray for the nation. In his latest media interview, President Muhammadu Buhari hinted at a culture of killings and revenge killings in some parts of northern Nigeria. And he said that to understand the nature of the banditry and the killings, one must understand the underlying culture. Now, what is this underlying culture? If you steal a Fulani man's cattle, you tend to strip him of life altogether and is prepared to fight to the finish. So, since animal theft is becoming rampant in Nigeria, killings may not end anytime very soon because the owners of the cattle will go for revenge. I must, however, add that prayer cannot and should not be expected to solve the bloodletting going on in some parts of the country. Now, when I conversed with Governor of Kebbi State, Abubakar Atiku Bagudu, I asked him if this country was making enough conscientious effort to make animal husbandry and the Fulani community a part of Nigeria's 21st century modern economy.
That maybe suggests that we should even work hard more to include them because they feel excluded. We talk about sedentary life for them, which is good so that they can go to school, but again, it requires investment. It requires communities having water, having schools, having the opportunity to undertake the businesses that they like to do, which again can contribute to our national economy. So indeed, like we have been doing, like this has been happening in the last 6 years, we need to focus more that this is an integral part of our agriculture. This is an integral part for us to boost the national economy. Recognition of the need to include people more, and we are a lucky nation in a way that if you find people who are willing to put effort, like somebody is willing to do agriculture, help him to generate more out of agriculture. If somebody is willing to be a fisherman or fishing woman, for that matter, help him or her to generate more from fishing. If somebody is willing to be in the animal husbandry sector. Help him or her. That is what we should focus, so that we support those in those occupations to do them better, contribute to employment and national income and national economic output, and absorb more people.
Well, if we know the challenge and its causes, then to find the solution becomes easy, unless though some people are profiting from the present situation. You are watching the Signature Show on AIT. Last week, at the editorial board meeting of AIT, I asked a question whether the judiciary has been made to perform the function of political parties in Nigeria. Now, the FCT area council elections coming up in next month, that's in February, are providing proof that all the preachment that political parties should be more democratic in all their processes, internal processes, seems to have fallen on deaf ears. Now, the main political parties are resolving their differences in the courts. In the Abuja Municipal Area Council, AMAC, the case of the All Progressive Congress has reached the Supreme Court, while that of the Buhari Area Council is still at appeal court level. At the end, it is the courts, that is the judiciary, that will determine who runs and who does not run. A clear evidence that the political parties have failed Nigerians, at least in that regard. They cannot manage their own internal affairs, respect their own rules, and produce their own legitimate candidates. Now, if this continues, then we might as well convert the Nigerian judiciary into Nigeria's political parties who produce candidates, instead of the pretense that our political parties are institutions for credible selection process leading to the emergence of candidates in elections. This is the Signature Show on AIT. We'll take a break now and return shortly. Please stay with us. Hello! Something is happening in Anambra State. Last Thursday, Professor Chukwuma Soludo, governor-elect of Anambra State, released the names of members of his transition team. Governors have always done that. But for the avoidance of doubt, the transition team led by Professor Obi Ezekwesili is the technical and tactical team that will put together the Soludo governance blueprint and direction. I am above the cloud with excitement and gratitude that a political leader wants governance by and from knowledge. Now, the team assembled by Professor Soludo boasts of some of the brightest and the best, if not around the entire country, at least in that part of the country. This afternoon, I make one appeal. The All Progressive Grand Alliance and major stakeholders in that party should please buy into this Soludo paradigm. It might signal the beginning of a change in the approach to governance in Nigeria. Next is our special report, which today focuses on Nigeria's ungoverned spaces and how they contribute to insecurity in the country. Please, it's important you stay with us.
In the run-up to the 2015 election, Nigeria's security challenge was one issue that was central in the whole election campaign. The government of Goodluck Jonathan and his security chiefs rolled out their efforts at containing the insurgency in the nation's northeast states. Nigerians were not satisfied because parts of Nigeria's territory were in the hands of terrorists and pretentious Islamic purists. The Muhammadu Buhari campaign outfit and their handlers took the Jonathan government to the cleaners, portraying it as weak, confused, and incompetent. Buhari, then candidate of the All Progressives Congress, among his promises, assured Nigerians that he would address the insecurity question terminally. Just last week, the governor of Borno State, Babagana Zulum, told Nigerians that terrorists still control 2 local governments, Abadam and Guzamala in Borno State, and collect taxes on highways in the southern axis of the state. Boko Haram and bandits run the everyday lives of many local governments in Niger and Zamfara states. Kaduna State has become a killing field for insurgents and bandits and the den of kidnappers. This means that neither the Jonathan administration nor the present government led by a hard-nosed General Muhammadu Buhari has been able to address the nation's security challenge meaningfully.
The 2 presidents, both the past president Goodluck Jonathan and the present president and the president of Muhammadu Buhari, have really failed in terms of security. I think it's worse in this administration. It was a bit fair in the last administration. We were managing it until when this government came to power, we noticed that security has totally derailed from what we used to know.
As both past and present governments have deployed boots and guns, many analysts have shifted attention to what could be responsible for Nigeria's unending insecurity, which in fact seems to have been spreading across the country and acquiring more sophistication.
Bandits here about insurgency, kidnapping, land grabbing, and so on and so forth. It's just pathetic that we are facing this type of problems at this point in time when we have a former general, a military general, as the president of this great country. So it's really pathetic. It's really sorrowful. It's really shameful.
The issue of Nigeria's ungoverned spaces needs to be understood and analyzed to inform any meaningful and effective response to Nigeria's insecurity. In most instances, ungoverned spaces relate to absence of government presence, judicial presence, and infrastructure presence. These are true and would, for instance, raise the question of how Nigeria is developing its border, far-flung and inaccessible communities. There are communities in Nigeria that today require a day's journey to access a health facility, a police station, or a court. Such a situation creates a vacuum which all manner of elements, including terrorists, feel and constitute a threat to the Nigerian state. The citizens seem to willingly cooperate with these elements because they are the government that they know.
The people in the rural areas, they are being neglected. You understand? Government policies do not really reach those rural areas. Like, let me give you an instance, like the northern areas. You find that in rural areas, education do not get to those nitty-gritty. So when they are idle and they are not being educated to know their left from their right, some other fanatics take advantage of them.
However, there are other ungoverned spaces in Nigeria where government absence or ineffectiveness lays the nation bare for occupation by deviant elements to the detriment of all Nigerians. For instance, Nigeria's education system has become loose, aimless, directionless in content, and admits all manner of players, especially at lower level. Also, education in northern Nigeria, which under the Sultan of Sokoto, Sir Ahmadu Bello's regional government was coordinated and had a clear direction, has today been taken over by doubtful malams who run Quranic schools that have no content to prepare the children for life in this 21st century. The products of the system have become ready recruits for all manner of interests, including politicians, religious bigots and deviants, as well as criminals and terrorists. In the southern part of the country, education has become just decorative and empty certification without content. Products of the Nigeria's education, which in fact is ungoverned space, have therefore become ready recruits for kidnappers, yahoo, political jobbers, and sundry non-state operators who constitute insecurity challenge for Nigeria.
Government has not extended education to them. What do you expect from them? Any good fellow that comes to twat them and sleep on them, then they will follow those fellows.
The same situation is playing out in many other facets of the Nigerian's life, such that anti-state actors like drug barons, money launderers, religious bigots, and frontline businessmen fill Nigeria's many ungoverned or ungoverned spaces and create security challenges for Nigeria. These anti-state actors have infiltrated Nigeria's governance structure and system, and it is only the effective reoccupation of these spaces by the government and the general political leaders through functional, skilled, and effective institutions with clearly spelled out objectives that these anti-state occupants can be driven out.
There need to be strong policies. There need to be strong, sound, clear-cut policies on education. First of all, education must be free for all. From the basics. And after going to school, not just going to school and leaving them to their fates, provide at least an enabling environment and soft landing so that they can take off.
If this is not understood in its finest sense, and only boots and guns are deployed, Nigeria's security challenge could take deep roots and become a national existential threat. This is the challenge that faces Nigeria's next president.
Well, as the 2022 breaks, so politics of 2023 has broken on Nigeria and in Nigeria. Everywhere the talk is about 2023 general elections, and the highest stake is the presidency. From all locations and from many walks of life, candidates are throwing their hats in the ring. But wait a minute. What kind of a president does Nigeria deserve in 2023? And what kind of candidate fits that bill? This is the subject of our conversation this Sunday. Stay with us. Hello and welcome to the conversation segment of the Signature Show this Sunday. As I always say, the conversation never ends. Look around you. Politics is in the air. People are announcing their interests. Groups are canvassing for support. But it appears that the biggest cake everybody wants to have a slice of is Nigeria's presidency. Individuals are showing interests. Groups are canvassing for support. Political parties are arranging their issues and trying to find their right candidates. But Nigeria is faced with many challenges about which the citizens are complaining so bitterly. So, who should be Nigeria's president come 2023? What quality of a person should that person be? How can he drive this country back to the conversation of unity and peace instead of this divisiveness? What does he do with insecurity? Does he have the capacity? What should he bring to the table for Nigerians to say, look, we have a hope that this is the president suitable for these times? That is the issue we're conversing on this afternoon. And my guest is Ferdinand Dago. Ferdinand Dago is a former Director General of the National Maritime Authority, today NIMASA. He was also the Senior Special Assistant in the Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation under President Goodluck Jonathan, and is now a consultant in private practice. Incidentally and interestingly, Ferdinand Dago is an architect. Ferdinand, you're welcome to the conversation.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Mwabezo.
You, from beams and structures and buildings of a building, you became interested in public affairs.
Well, the architect, by the very nature of his training, can apply that training to a host of areas of life. Of course, the principal area is in building. The word architect is architecton, master builder. That is his first area of concern. But the same principles can be applied in virtually any other aspect of life. You have doctors also that apply themselves in public service, lawyers, all kinds of professions. If you understand the fundamental rudiments of your training, you should be able to apply it to the to your first area of calling and beyond.
Now, Ferdinand, you heard my opening remark. In respect of Nigeria's many challenges, permit me to just mention a few. In 2014, security, or indeed insecurity, was a major issue in that campaign. Today, it remains an issue. Then, people were mouthing unemployment. Today, it is a major, major issue. Then, people are speaking about a disunited Nigeria. Today, it is a divided Nigeria, kind of, with all manner of interests being thrown up. Looking at these challenges confronting Nigeria, what manner of man or woman, indeed, do you think should be aspiring to Nigeria's presidency in 2023?
Let me put it this way. I think over the last couple of years, we have become so overwhelmed with our problems that the basic tone of our public conversation has become a bit pessimistic. Now, that's not the way to go. I want us, throughout the discussion, to take a more positive view of our country and a more optimistic note. Now, all these things you outlined can be summed up in one word: state fragility. You are basically dealing with symptoms of acute state fragility. I'm not talking about a failed state, but we are a failing state. It's not something nice to say, but that's a fact. So the insecurity, the unemployment, the disunity are all symptoms of failing states. And at the heart of it is not a breakdown, but the gradual erosion of our national consensus. So that answers your question. The fundamental thing you are going to need in a leader is who, by temperament, by competence, by disposition, is in a position to rebuild our national consensus. He doesn't need to be a genius. Einstein was offered presidency of Israel. He said, no, is this not meant for me? The youngster didn't need a Nobel laureate in physics. What Nigeria needs today is who has the ability or the chance to build a consensus around issues. Because positions are so polarized right now that anybody's solution will be rejected by the next person. On virtually any issue you put on the table today, there are 2 or 3 views that Nigerians hold passionately, whether it is unity, whether it is politics, whatever the case. But we need some fundamental pillars to agree on. First of all, that despite how difficult and challenging it may seem, it is ultimately in everybody's interest that we have a peaceful and prosperous Nigeria. We have to agree on that. Now, and how do we get there? Of course, a peaceful and prosperous Nigeria must provide for its people. Peace is both a means and an end. You must provide for your people a good economy, good quality of life, good life expectations. We need that. Now, the details of that can be hashed out, but the consensus of that must be there. Now, critical to that is leadership and the vehicle to deliver leadership intentions. Now, and in that leadership, you need somebody that can actually be able to bring people together and say, come together, let's reason and find a way forward. He would have his own ideas. We don't have to accept his ideas. And he mustn't insist solely on his own. But regardless of that, he must have the ability to bring others together and hammer out a consensus. So you can dice it up anyhow. You're not going to solve Nigeria's problem without generating a consensus around the solution. So in direct answer to your question, it's of what kind of leader do we need? I will go for a leader with a proven ability to bring men across the board together and get them to work towards a fixed goal.
Now, Ferdinand, I have a challenge with that answer, even though I may agree with you substantially. Over time, Nigerians, especially in the media, have barely ached about leadership competence, technocratic competence. not just a man who can assemble people. He must also have his own ideas and his own competencies to bring to the table. Am I right?
No, excuse me. A consensus builder is more than just a guy that can bring people together. You must have a temperamental disposition towards accommodation. You need a fair dose of vision, because a consensus builder is also a direction pointer. You're not just sitting there saying, oh, come and talk, let me look for the least common denominator. You're also pointing towards a direction. Okay? That's where your own ideas matter. You must be somebody of judgment. You have to know what way to apportion. There are so many variables in any particular question, and none of them can be dismissed outright. But you need a measure, you need a sense to know what way to apportion towards. You must be somebody of integrity. People must know they can take your word to the bank. That if you say, we are going this way, eventually you will go that way. And you must be somebody of dedication. You really roll up your sleeves and get down to it. So this idea that, oh, give a man a job, he will meet people there that he will bring together. No, that's not my idea of consensus building. There are key elements: the temperament, the vision, the judgment, the dedication. All these things are part of what makes you an effective consensus builder.
Now, Ferdinand, over time, there has been this debate in the country that people of a certain generation, people of a certain age, are no longer qualified to lead a complex country like Nigeria. Yeah. And therefore, age is a factor. In this profile, in this character you're seeing, in this quality you're putting down as needed in the president of 2023, do you see age playing a role?
Age plays a role, but largely at the extremes of it. Okay? A very bright, smart, young child of 15 years old may not be trusted with leading Nigeria. Similarly, a man of 100 may not be trusted with leading Nigeria because physical frailties come in. But within a certain bandwidth, it's not so much of age, physical age, but the age of your ideas, the currency and potency of your ideas, and the ability to change with the changing times, even as you cling on to unchanging principles. So to that extent, age doesn't count. I mean, history furnishes us with excellent leaders that were young, very many. The people we call our founding fathers, all of them were young people when they held power. The oldest amongst them, Azikiwe, was 56 as of the time of independence. Awolowo was younger. The Sadano was younger. Emma Ekpara was younger. So all of them were young men. But today we look back at them and regard them as sages. But we have also seen leaders that matured with time and were able to serve a society in their old age. The South Africans, they were quite happy with Mandela. Kenya under Kenyatta, and some of those people. So it's not so much the physical age, but the age of your ideas, the currency of your ideas, your ability to change with the changing times. Those things can count. But I wouldn't write off a man purely because of age, unless it's at the very extremes.
Now, can we bring in, we are painting very beautiful picture of what ought to be. Yeah. The institutions to help produce this kind of a man, the political parties, yeah, what role can they play in making sure that such a man, such a woman emerges? Because today, there's so much intra-party contentions to the point that it becomes a distraction.
Let me say this, that part of the genuine fears that people have for Nigeria is that these institutions we mention, ideally ought to have a philosophical and intellectual foundation. A political party, ideally, is not just an amalgam of people seeking power, but people with a purpose to seek power. That's the difference here. You can have a political party that just wants to get power, and it's a political party because the Constitution allows freedom of association. However, you can have a political party with a purpose for wanting to seek power. I want to limit the word to purpose now because I don't want to get into, is it going to be ideological or what? But we can basically agree that there should be a body of policies and programs that a member of a political party subscribes to. In the current form we are seeing our political parties, they don't seem to sufficiently take themselves seriously. So you see, somebody leaves one political party, goes into another, leaves that one, comes back, goes into another, without any political loss of political capital. So what it means is that the political party has not reinforced in its membership its raison d'etat, its reason for being. Otherwise, you cannot drift from one party to the other and back again and on to the next as if it doesn't count. So now, for today, we see parties as the place that you get a ticket on your journey to power. Not the place that you get a ticket to execute their programs when you are in power. And it will be very advisable for political parties maybe to show that they take themselves seriously by rewarding those that have been loyal to them all through their careers. I'm not saying that there's no conceivable circumstance that a man can leave a party. No. But a party must value those that have been loyal. Loyalty must count. Just like veracity. There are certain virtues and attributes that a people must ask for. And if they don't ask for it, they won't get it. And if they don't get it, you cannot have this elite consensus we are talking about. So political parties have a role. Now, in a situation where they don't place enough emphasis on things like loyalty, then their elite selection process or the leadership selection process can become extremely faulty. So if I take the two parties that have held power in Nigeria here in the last 20 odd years at the center, PDP and APC, you don't get the impression that they sufficiently respect themselves in terms of value for loyalty. They gleefully go and poach principal members of the other party and hold it up as an achievement. Oh, this governor decamped. That other governor decamped. 10 senators decamped to us. And we don't say, come on. You don't feel any embarrassment that somebody took a mandate from the people of this country on a different platform from yours and just cross it over. And tomorrow they say we have given a waiver. It doesn't matter when you came in, you can come and contest. All you want is power. So I think we need a conversation on loyalty to political parties to convince us that the kind of people they are putting forward to us as leaders have been vetted or gone through a proper leadership screening process.
I'm talking about leadership screening process. That takes me to the emergence of all these people showing interest. I wake up one morning and somebody says, I want to become the president of the Federal Republic. And there are posters all over the place. And I ask myself, what manner of experience has this person gathered over time, either in the principles and values of his party or in leadership? It takes some experience to lead. Let me give it to anybody who wants to become president, that yes, you are free to contest. But managing a nation as complex as Nigeria, doesn't it require some measure of exposure to the workings of government, to political relationships, which you said a consensus builder? Doesn't it require experience?
It does. And again, I want to be respectful of people that have sought the presidency. I've not sought it myself, okay? But at the end of the day, there is something about this democracy. At the end of the give and take, people that have sought the presidency of Nigeria through the ballot box and succeeded seem to represent our national consensus at a moment in time. A consensus on where the country should be going. So whether you're looking at Shagari or whether you're looking at Obasanjo or even Abiola that was elected and didn't take office, or Jonathan or now Buhari and maybe their successor, somehow the process will eventually consider all those things, their background, their experience, because for every citizen, there is a preponderant feeling that look at what kind of quality we need. Unfortunately, you cannot trust the integrity of our election outcomes in terms of numbers. But even if you roughly say that anybody that was declared winner won, maybe not by the number that they were declared, then you could say that for each moment in time when those men were elected, you can virtually see what they represented. Okay? I don't want to go into what each person represented because that may be subjective. But you will find that experience is part of it. So if somebody says, I'm going to fight insurgency, I'm going to fight insecurity, I'm going to fight corruption, Nigerians will say, yeah, I think he has what it takes to do it. Okay? And the next person at another moment in time, we are going from military to civilian. There is a sense that this man has been a soldier, he has also been a civilian, he has gone through hardship, he may manage the system better. So you probably find that Nigerians are not totally oblivious of experience. So I'm not too worried about those that you say jump from the skies into the system. They go through a meal, and at the end of the day, if the system is, people will make a fair judgment of them.
With all these interests all over the place, do you see INEC as the umpire? Not just because it has not done it before, but the heated interest, the many contentions. Maybe they say that's how our politics is. Each of politics, things heat up. But do you see INEC being able to effectively manage these interests during the election? Because these interests also amount to pressure on the system.
I think in terms of electoral integrity, it will seem to me, if you take away a few odd spots, that there's been a steady improvement in conduct of elections at the national level and the integrity of the results. Steady improvement. I am not sure everybody will swear by the numbers that come out at the end of the day. But you can see ideas being introduced to give you more credible results. The problem seems to be that for every new idea, we all sign on to it. There are some parts of the country that embrace it wholesale, and then we make exception of others, and they take advantage of that exception and possibly, let me say, turn in results that reflect the old thinking. But within having said that, I would believe that there is a consistent effort on the part of INEC to get better. And I think that so far at the gubernatorial level, if you were to do an empirical study of electoral petitions, let me say 12 years ago, 8 years ago, 4 years ago, and now, I think qualitatively, you probably see that in the last couple of years there have been more dramatic improvement in INEC. The elephant in the box is at the presidential level. Why we choose to do it all in one day, I still don't understand. Vast countries like India do the elections over a period of time. Election managers must know why they want to do it all in one day, whether they have the capacity to truly monitor. But maybe when the new electoral law is signed, you probably see more checks and more balances, all aimed at giving electoral integrity. Now, in terms of the personnel that run INEC, I also believe that, to all intents and purposes, the incumbent head of INEC, to the extent that I know him, is somebody that you can fairly well, you can say that he's made an effort to show that he's transparent and of integrity. If you saw the last election that came out of Anambra, for instance, there was a lot of talk that the results had been written, a lot of movements across the political spectrum. And some people say it was all in. And I believe it's a mark of the character of the head of INEC that the results came out that made the approbation of the citizens. We saw it also in Edo, and so on and so forth. So I would say that the presidential election is still a major, major issue. INEC really has to show us that, that there is transparency. Sometimes we see films of kids thumbprinting results. Sometimes we hear stories of youth coppers threatening that if they didn't sign off on something that they'll be killed. Some years ago, coppers were killed in large numbers in parts of this country. There are some people that say that they're being penalized by playing by the rules. When the card readers were introduced, some particular regions in this country play by the rules. If the card reader doesn't accept you, no. But in some places, exceptions are made. And now the story out there is that, oh, these people have low numbers. The number of voters is perpetually low. They're not interested in voting. But you don't even know whether the other votes that you accept as votes cast were really votes cast. So I think there's need for work to convince us that the final numbers reflect the will of the people. Maybe the person that should have won, but the numbers we were looking at, I don't know. We need to convince about that.
Okay. Now, Ferdinand, there is a very critical matter in national conversation today, and that is, where should the next president come from? North, south, southeast, southwest, wherever? Is that consideration necessary?
I think it's very necessary. You know, let me put it this way. There are things that because we met as they are, we assume they are already in existence as they should be. We have not asked ourselves, what is our idea of Nigeria? When I talk about the erosion of elite consensus, it's also partly because we do no longer have a unified idea of Nigeria. However, my own view is that if there was no Nigeria, we would have been busy trying to create one. Because we need one. Even if for nothing else, this is the highest concentration of black capacity, intellectual, moral, and otherwise. If the black man were ever to be spared from the rainstorms of racism, it has to be the Nigerian success story that lifts us up. We need Nigeria as a race. We need Nigeria as a continent. We need Nigeria as a people. We're a vast commonwealth. But there have to be terms for Nigeria to work. And that's why our founding fathers went through all the constitutional conferences. All the constitutional evolution, Clifford, Richardson, Macpherson, Littleton, Independence, Republic, Ad hoc Constitutional Committee, leading to before the war, Constituent Assembly, the Abacha the Abacha Constitutional Conference, the Obasanjo one, the IBB Constituent Assembly, the Jonathan National Conference. It tells you that we are trying to find the correct matrix for our nation. One thing is clear. There is a northern part of Nigeria and a southern part of Nigeria that was amalgamated. That is the irreducible minimum. You can later dice it into southeast, southwest, south-south, middle belt, north-central, northeast, and northwest. But the two constituent parts exist. And it will seem as if, until we find a more equitable way of understanding equity or parity, the idea of the presidency rotating between the north and the south makes sense. Someday we can outgrow it. I wish we had outgrown it 10 years ago. But until we have more equitable and rational means of allocation of resource and power,
this seems to be serving us.
We have to consider it. Why do we have federal character, even in our admission to unity schools? It's a conscious attempt to say that you cannot say merit and merit alone in terms of matters academic. You cannot say majoritarian democracy in terms of politics. If you go by majoritarian democracy, purely by that, you just incite the minority into some kind of insurrection. So I think to rotate power between the North and the South ought to be a given until we find a better way of doing it. Once we do that North-South rotation, the rest of it, should it go to Northwest, Northeast, North Central, should it go to Southeast, Southwest, Southwest, South, whatever, I think the populace has the wisdom to understand and to judge when people make their case, where's the parity of equity, and what serves our nation best at any moment in time. So I probably limit myself to a North-South rotation as should be accepted as it is now. Then the nuances within the broad regions, let us leave it to the wisdom of the leadership and the people to decide here.
Can you, I'm not asking to play the ogre, because I'm sure you cannot see the seas of time. Check all the signals, with all the indices, with all we have conversed on this afternoon. Can you see us have a smooth, credible, selling election in 2023?
My basic assumption, a smooth election is possible and is desirable. But the assumption is that those in whose hand it is to facilitate it will do the right thing. Neither you nor I, we can only express wishes. I can promise you I'm a citizen of good conduct. I'll be lawful all the way through, and I'm sure you'll be. Now, if the people that hold power, in whose hand it is to do these things at the party level and everything, do their bit, citizens will be lawful. If they don't do their bit, then they themselves put the society at risk. But I really want to believe that everybody has a stake in doing what is right, being lawful in their conduct and being accommodating in their behavior.
Being lawful in their conduct, being accommodating in their behavior, that could grant us, if not guarantee us, good elections without rancor, without violence. In the past 35 minutes, 40 minutes, I think so, I've been conversing with Ferdinand Dago. Ferdinand Dago, former Director General of the National Maritime Authority, that's today's NEMASA, and former Senior Special Assistant in the Office of the Secretary to the Federation during the Jonathan administration, and now in private practice, incidental, as I said from the beginning, an architect. I think those who build houses can also build nations. Ferdinand, thank you very much for coming to the conversation.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you. I'm grateful.
My name remains Mwabose Njoka, and the conversation never ends. Next Sunday, we'll be conversing. For today, good afternoon. Well, as our conversation never ends, continues, so does our gratitude to those who have brought happiness to all of us and our society. Our gratitude never ends. This is our thank you time. Jos, the 10th city and capital of Plateau State, is the breeding ground for so many Nigerian artists, musicians, stage performers, and entertainers and scriptwriters. You know, Jos, the TV city. In 1976, Sound Sultan, real name Olarowaju Abdul Ganiyu Fasasi, was born in Jos. He became one of Nigeria's accepted and internationally recognized rappers, songwriter, singer, actor, comedian, and recording artist, Sound Sultan. Regarded as a pace setter in hip-hop music in Nigeria, Sound Sultan was respected for being outspoken against poverty, corruption, bad governance, drugs, and the like. He was the rave of the Nigerian youth. In fact, the youth around Nigeria and around Africa. Unfortunately, he died on July 11th, 2021 in the United States of throat cancer. For deploying his talent for our societal good and for bringing joy to his generation, we say thank you to Sound Sultan.
I spend my money every day on top woman. I don't care if she walk away to another man. I am ready to be your mugu, your persona maga for life. TY Mix, Sound Sultan, Ninja Ninja. It is a natural something. When I see you do this strong thing, go shorty, it's a baile. 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 I know because I know that, but I like woman. I know you have been over when me hear your man.
And that's how I got signed $1 million. Whoa. Congratulations, man. That's good stuff.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Whoa. Progress, boys. Progress, gentlemen. Progress. Sit down. This is what we're battling. Sit down. Progress.
I'm again a million, a million, so I know you want in a million, so dash you anything, if silver and gold. No means I won't carry you go. Every day you killing them and killing them, oh. Natural things, no silicon, oh. You giving men horn like a unicorn, oh. But really don't get me wrong. See, no string attached. I go buy you diamond, no string attached. I think you go shopping, no string attached. Cause the wellness things, no string attached. Oh, no string attached. Like we just dance, no string attached. So don't be thinking wrong, no string attached. I only appreciate you as a wonderful work of God. I spend my money every day on top woman. I don't care if she walk away to another man. I am ready to be your mugu, your persona maga for life. It is a natural something. When I see you do this strong thing, go shorty, it's a baile. 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 I know because I know that, but I like woman them. I know you have been lover when me hear your man them. Woman to find and no fit economize you, girl. Going through pain, you need a man where go nice you, girl. No minimize insult and go maximize you, girl. Cause you deserve everything where they shine, my girl. Should I be touch, should I be posh? Should I do my neck, give you in a rush? Just to make you blush, I go yanders, I go freestyle, just to make you smile. In the meantime, you are not mine, we go feel fine, but no kind. On behalf of all the men, oh yeah, come make us spoil you, oh. I spend my money every day on top woman. I don't care if she walk away to another man. I am ready to be your mugu, your persona maga for life. It is a natural something. When I see you do this strong thing, so go shorty, it's a baile. 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 I know because I know that, but I like woman them. I know you have a lover when me hear your man them.
Well, that's our program for this Sunday. Not to forget that the conversation and other segments, they never end. They come Sunday after Sunday. So let's meet again next week. My name is Mwabuoze Njoko. Good afternoon.